How to know if a reaction is SN1, SN2, E1, or E2? First, if the substrate is methyl, it's always going to be the SN2 reaction. Next, I like to look at the nucleophile, where the nucleophile is strong, usually meaning it has a negative charge. It can either be an SN2 or an E2 reaction. Now, once you determine that it's a strong nucleophile, you then want to look at the substrate, where if the substrate is primary, it's going to be an SN2 reaction, unless the base is too bulky, or it cannot reach for that backside attack, which is SN2, so it will be an E2 reaction if it's bulky. Now, if the substrate is tertiary, it's going to be an E2 reaction because that tertiary carbon is too crowded, so it cannot perform that backside attack. And if the substrate is secondary, if the base is weak, it's going to be an SN2, and if the base is strong, it's going to be an E2 reaction. Now, to determine if it's a weak or strong base, I use this bromide ion, for example, where this bromide ion is large and its negative charge is spread out, making it really stable, and it doesn't really want to grab a proton, making it a weak base. But it's still a strong nucleophile because it's very polarizable and its electron cloud can be easily stretched out and attack carbons easily. Now, if you compare it to something like this oxygen-based ion, oxygen is much more smaller, so its negative charge is more concentrated, making it a strong base because it really wants to pick up a proton. Now, if you determine the nucleophile is weak, it can either be SN1 or E1, where if the substrate is primary, there will be no reaction, because as we know, SN1 and E1 reactions, they're two-step, so they have to form that carbocation, and if the substrate is primary, that carbocation would just be too unstable to form a reaction. But if the substrate is secondary or tertiary, it can either be SN1 or E1. But if there's heat, it's going to favor the E1 reaction, and if there's no heat, it's going to favor the SN1 reaction. But yeah, I hope you now better understand how to determine for reactions SN1, SN2, E1, or E2, and thank you so much for watching.